In this video, we'll dive into a criminal case that shocked the world with its nature and unexpected outcome. I'll tell you about the kidnapping of a teenage girl in the early 2000s and an unexpected twist involving internet chat rooms that ultimately led police to the perpetrator. How did the predator use an internet chat room to arrange a meeting with the girl? What did one chat room user receive privately that made them immediately contact the police? How did the search operation unfold? And did the police manage to catch the criminal in time while the girl was still alive? All this and much more coming up. Before we proceed with the video, allow me to introduce something truly extraordinary. Watch this. Bad grammar? Perfect text instantly. Need a translation? It understands every language. Or just tell it what to do. Easy. This tool has a high skill cap. It's like having writing superpowers that boosts your internet elo.
Mom, do you know what this means?
I've used it, and now I can't even imagine communicating without it. Spellfast AI, the link is in the description. The kidnapping took place on January 1st, 2002, literally during New Year's celebrations in Pittsburgh, USA. It happened just moments before the new year. Let's dive into the details of that fateful night before we get into the investigation. So it was New Year's Eve. A festive atmosphere surrounded everything, including Alice's family home. Her mother had just finished preparing the holiday meals and sent her brother to call her down for dinner. Opening her bedroom door, the girl was nowhere to be found. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The mother recalls her son coming downstairs and announcing his sister was gone. Her first thought was that she must be somewhere around, so initially, she didn't pay much attention to it. Only after some time did the mother realize her daughter was truly missing. She immediately started searching every room with her son, checking every corner, looking under beds, in closets, absolutely everywhere. There was no trace of Alice. Her coat was still hanging in her room, yet Alice herself was nowhere to be found. It was freezing outside at the time, and she definitely wouldn't have gone out without her jacket and boots. But where could she have suddenly disappeared to, as her mother told it? Alice was the type of person who never disappeared from home and always spent her evenings in her room, doing homework or playing computer games. Panic started to set in within the family, and later it was discovered that the front door was only partially closed, and it was clear she wouldn't have gone out alone as she was still afraid of the dark. But what if something terrible had happened? The mother frantically called the police, who arrived at the door moments later. Initially, the police explored the possibility that Alice might have run away from home, so they asked questions about whether there had been any family conflicts. When this theory was ruled out, the police delivered devastating news. Law enforcement would have to wait 24 hours from the moment of disappearance to officially declare someone as missing. The parents were absolutely certain Alice hadn't run away from home. Something terrible had happened. Most likely, their daughter had been kidnapped. At that moment, every minute counted, and there was a high chance that any next second could be their daughter's last. 24 hours full of uncertainty and pain. That fateful New Year's night dragged on so slowly, and it felt like it would never end. Her father couldn't take it anymore and called the police a second time, this time emphasizing that their daughter hadn't run away, but was possibly kidnapped. Moments later, FBI agents arrived at their house, separated them into 2 different rooms, and began the interrogation process. It was revealed that the parents were 100% convinced their daughter hadn't run away. The parents mentioned that she had been spending a lot of time on the internet. The investigators immediately understood that if computers and internet were involved, and there was a high chance she had been chatting with someone, the computer was taken for analysis, where it was discovered that she had been regularly spending time in chat rooms. When 3 hours had passed since Alice's disappearance, investigators began seriously considering the possibility that a crime had been committed. This led to 2 frightening possibilities. Either she had been kidnapped by a stranger after leaving the house for unknown reasons, or she had been lured from the house by a predator. Time kept ticking forward, and with each passing second, the chances of finding the girl alive diminished. Meanwhile, police worked on analyzing the girl's computer, where they discovered she had spent a lot of time on 3 different chat platforms. Their next step was to request copies of all her conversations to begin serious work on investigating them. After reviewing the messages, nothing there seemed suspicious to the investigators. It seemed the investigation had hit a dead end. Soon, investigators arrived to ask more in-depth questions. The investigation had moved forward. They were now convinced that the disappearance was related to the forced detention of a minor, possibly with intent for indecent acts. As one of the case investigators recalls, it all looked like a typical kidnapping case commonly practiced by online predators who spot their victims in chat platforms and through manipulation attempts arrange meetings with them, after which they usually lure them into their car. As it would later turn out, unfortunately, this was exactly such a case. In 2002, online chat rooms were a relatively new thing, and not many kidnapping cases had been recorded yet. Internet predators typically try to gain a child's trust, while simultaneously trying to change their thoughts and views to match the perpetrator's beliefs. After gaining complete trust and control, they do everything to arrange a meeting with the child. And when such a charismatic and seemingly trustworthy person arrives to say hello, who wouldn't step outside to meet someone they thought they knew well. When 24 hours had passed since the disappearance, police received important new information in the case while questioning Alice's classmates. It turned out she had often complained at school about being tired from long night chat conversations. The girl had secrets she was hiding from her parents. Classmates revealed that Alice had been chatting with an older man for a long time. She had also bragged that they were planning to meet sometime in the future. The case finally showed some distinct progress, but it was clear that the girl was in grave danger and the perpetrator still hadn't been identified. A massive operation was launched using technical capabilities to try to identify the man. All chats were combed through to at least discover what username the mysterious man was using, but after 39 hours since the disappearance, investigators hit a dead end. Strangely, when police searched the girl's computer, they found nothing suspicious. It's possible that the man had taught her how to communicate incognito. The investigation's outcome seemed hopeless until everything changed with an unexpected call. Investigators suddenly received a call from an anonymous man from Florida, saying he had important information about the missing girl's case. It turned out he had been actively chatting with the wanted man on the Yahoo platform. He was a member of the adult fantasy chat room and unexpectedly received a link in private chat from another member, which led to a live stream. What the man saw deeply shocked him. Before his eyes appeared a scene of a naked teenage girl, locked in a cage and crying. He noticed she looked very similar to the girl who had disappeared in Pittsburgh and that she had been harmed. He didn't want to be involved in such matters, so he immediately called the police. The investigator tried to get as much information as possible to find out who had sent him the live stream link, but soon the anonymous caller hung up. They tried to trace the anonymous caller's location, but it all led to an empty payphone in Tampa Bay. By this point, Alice had been missing for 2 days. The disturbing news became the beginning of the parents' worst nightmare. They only knew that their daughter was now kidnapped and going through hell. The FBI mobilized all their resources to literally comb through the internet, hoping to find the video described by the anonymous caller, but nothing turned up. Then came an unexpected turn. The phone rang again. On the other end, the same man from Florida. The caller claimed he was ashamed of being part of the chat room, but said he couldn't stand by knowing that one of its members was clearly a threat to an underage girl. He agreed to help investigators find the girl. Agents arrived at his house, where he told them about his shared conversations with the individual and how they had exchanged fantasies and gained mutual trust. He claimed the predator had written to him several times about wanting to kidnap a girl and make her his slave. At the time, the informant took it as a joke, but as it turned out, the man was completely serious. On the day Alice was kidnapped, he announced it in the chat, and to show off his prey, even filmed her, proudly saying, "She's mine now." A moment later, the man who informed the police saw in the news that a missing girl, who looked very similar to the one he had literally just seen in the sick maniac's shared video. He immediately went to a payphone to inform the FBI. Next, they discovered his username, which allowed agents to begin work on tracking down the IP address to locate him. They finally managed to uncover his identity, although it presented significant challenges due to U.S. legislation and privacy policies. And after long efforts and even an agent's visit to Yahoo's main office, as well as a request to the internet provider to reveal the user's IP address, they finally managed to identify him. It was Scott Tyree. They had a name, and that would be enough for police to launch a massive rescue operation. It was discovered that Tyree was a computer analyst employed in the public sector. He had no prior criminal record. They located him very quickly, and police immediately did everything to obtain a warrant to search his residence. More than 2 days after Alice's disappearance, agents obtained permission to search Tyree's house. Since he was at work, they immediately dispatched one team to apprehend the perpetrator at his workplace and another to search the house and rescue the girl, hoping she would still be alive. Tyree is arrested while the second team searches the house. No one responds to their calls, which causes concern among the agents. The house looks normal, except for the basement. When unlocking the basement, a shocking sight unfolds before them. It's equipped with various tools meant for torture and matches the caller's description of the room in the video. But the girl isn't there. Did they arrive too late? They check the rest of the house, and on the second floor, they notice something strange under the bed, a metal chain extending from underneath. They find her chained and half naked. The case is solved with a positive outcome. The family's and Alice's more than 2-day hell is finally over. Alice spent more than 2 days in captivity, during which she was held prisoner, chained, tortured in Tyree's basement. Yes, while the maniac was at work, he chained the girl under the bed so she couldn't get out from under it. Can you imagine what insane torment she experienced even when she wasn't being tortured in the secret basement? As the case investigators later said, at the time when the search operation began, the chances of finding the girl alive were quite slim. Statistics show that in such cases, the chances of a positive outcome are grim. Alice Kozakovich now lives a happy life and has become a motivational specialist for children and teenagers who have suffered from abuse. This particular case is a shocking example that the internet environment isn't safe, and you can never trust who you're chatting with because you never know who's on the other side, and there's always a possibility that someone interested in chatting might be implementing an evil and manipulative plan. Write in the comments if you think the police would have managed to find Alice at all if the anonymous chatter hadn't called them. Take care.